Yo, it's Trent. Hope everyone's having a good day, good week so far. Almost Friday, love that. And we got taking fake LSD. So, actually, I got lucky that I didn't nothing serious was in these little tabs, you know what I mean? And at the time, I had only taken gel tabs, which, if you're an LSD user or you used to be, or maybe you're older and you did it like way long ago, gel tabs were never a thing, right? Like they just came around, a little while ago, but it was all paper tabs, right? Like just like you see in the movies, the paper little squares you put on your tongue, right? It was the first time I ever saw these, and the reason I'm saying I'm lucky from it is because it could have been anything in there, right? I got lucky that it messed with me a little bit, but it wasn't real, and I just got lucky it wasn't something like deadly or, something that would mess up my mind real bad. So let's get into it. Now, first of all, I've talked about this dude I'm about to mention. I've talked about him a lot, right? He's a guy who, when I got kicked out, he let me into his house, a real G, right? A real nice guy in that aspect. Other parts of life, he was, let's just say, a troublemaker, right? But I'm not judging because he gave me a place to stay. But on this day, I wasn't kicked out or anything. I was just going to hang out. It was a little bit after, I had stayed at his house, hung out a little bit, like, this is like a week or 2 weeks after, right? So I'm back in my house, but I'm still hanging out with him, right? So I ride my bike over to his house. I don't even think I could drive yet, or it was after I totaled my first car, right? I say first, I mean, I've only had two, but after I totaled my car, right? Or someone else did, but you get what I'm saying. So I go over to this dude's house, and the very first thing he tells me, and usually we would smoke or drink or take Xans or we would do something, right? We would always do something. That was the point of us hanging out, was to get high, right? And so I show up and he's like, yo, I have all this, like these sheets of acid, right? But he was telling me, he's like, I don't know if they're fake or if they don't work or if they're like a really, really low dosage. He's like, because I've taken a few, it hasn't done shit, right? And he wanted to get rid of them, if you know what I'm saying, make a few friends, make a few bucks. But if they're not working, you can't do that, right? So he's like, do you want to try whatever? Because at the time, I wouldn't say like super active acid LSD user, but like if it was the opportunity was given to me, I would take it, especially if, because at that time I had no job, like I wasn't doing anything with my day, so I knew I had 12 hours to spend to tripping out, right? So usually I would take like one or two, but like you said, low dosage, they're not working. I took five of them. Five. That's insane, right? Like even for someone, if they were regular doses, like I would never take even three. So the fact that I took five right out of the gate probably wasn't a great idea or good idea, but from what he told me and what I've told you so far, you can see why I did it, right? Like it was like, okay, low dosage, maybe this will work. And I was thinking, even if it was like half of a normal one, that would be like 2.5, which is the most I've ever done. So I was like, we'll see how this goes. So I forgot I even took them, right? Because instantly we started smoking, hanging out. Like, I don't think we played basketball, but I know there was a basketball hoop there. I remember always looking at it thinking, like, I could dunk on that, but probably no way I could have, right? So we're sitting there just hanging out for like an hour, right? And like I said, I completely forgot about this. I'm hanging out, right? And I get a text from a different friend. He's like, yo, you trying to get food? So I'm like, oh, definitely, right? Like, I'll ride my bike over there now. It's like a 5-7 minute bike ride, right? When I started the bike ride, I felt completely normal. But let me tell you, when I got about a little more than halfway, so let's say it's 7 minutes away, when I was like 5 minutes into my bike ride, I got this weird, like, I don't even know what to call it, like electrical feeling in me, right? Not a shock, but like coursing. When you feel like if you've gotten numbed up for anything or anything like that, like when you feel something course through you, that's what it felt like, right? And it was like a chill. It was like a cold chill feeling, and it went along my arms, and it went like up here, and it didn't go down my spine, but I felt it like in my back. I don't know how to explain it, right? But I felt that, and I was like, oh, that's weird, because I'd never felt that off acid. So I was like, maybe that's either like the acid or I'm just cold or something, right? So I get there, and if you know anything about LSD or whatever, like when you take it, unless you're someone who takes it a lot or you have just a different mind than most people, you're not going to eat, right? And you may drink some things. Like I hate Diet Pepsi, but when I'm tripping, I loved it, right? Like you'll drink things, but eating things is kind of iffy. It always looks weird. The lighting, it may come alive if you're tripping too hard. Like, you know what I mean? You don't usually want to eat. So I think it was Taco Bell. I pull up, right? and I get in there. And at first I was like, not hungry, but I was like, I could eat here. So obviously I'm not tripping or tripping too hard. And I get this food and I get that feeling again, right? Like that cold, like electrical coursing feeling. And I look down at this like taco, or maybe it wasn't a taco, it was like a quesadilla. But I looked down at this food I got and it looked disgusting, but also I was like, I had this feeling of like being scared. Like I just felt like dirty almost. The similar feeling I got, honestly, is when I took that random pill that I didn't know what it was, and when I took those seeds, those like LSA seeds or whatever, that was like tripping too. That just made me throw up and spin a bunch, right? But it was a psychedelic of some sort. It was kind of like that similar feeling of like not knowing exactly what I took, right? So I'm sitting there feeling a little geeky and I have no hunger anymore, which just went away like 30 seconds after I got the food. So I'm like, this is weird, right? I wrap it up because I'm going to bring it with me. I'm not just going to waste it. Like, at least throw it in the fridge for when I feel normal. And I just decided, okay, I'm going to go home because I'm feeling weirder and weirder, right? Like, I just kept getting those electrical feelings. And my brain, you know when you first wake up, like if someone gave you a phone call, how you're like sitting there with one eye open, how you're like, you can't focus on anything but what they're saying, like their voice, but everything else is like spinny, shaky feeling. That's what I started getting when I was riding back towards my house, right? And I had this Taco Bell quesadilla holder. You know what I'm talking about, like the sleeve they put the quesadillas in. I'm holding that thing while I'm riding my bike, and I'm just getting this like my vision was getting weird, right? Like it wasn't trippy, it was blurry. Like it was like whatever I took was trying to distract me. It was so weird, dude. I finally get home, right? And I didn't want to instantly tell my mom, right? Because she's chill about most things, but obviously she doesn't like when I would do these things. But part of her like thing is she's always there for me, right? So like if I was freaking out or something like that, she'd want me to tell her and I would feel comfortable. I like that little aspect, right? Where it's like I shouldn't be doing these things, but if you are, at least let me know if something's wrong, right? So I was thinking about telling her that like, hey, this does not feel right, right? But I was like, let me give it like an hour. Let me just see if I can come out of this like something, right? So I go back in my room and I decide, okay, I'm still feeling weird. Let me rip the cart or smoke or whatever. Maybe I had a bowl at the time. That sounds more like me from when I was younger. But I go and I smoke, right, which made it 100 times worse. Then I was paranoid that I took, like, not fentanyl, because at that time it wasn't as big, but I definitely thought that, like, it was laced with something that was going to kill me for sure. And I'm sitting there getting this blurry vision thing, and then I start feeling, like, geeked, like I snorted something, you know, like some cocaine or something. Like I don't want to say lit because I wasn't having a good time, but like a negative vibe, lit energy. That's how I was, right? Like I was sitting there with that coursing feeling just continuously going. Now it wasn't every couple minutes, it was just all the time. My vision's getting like blurrier towards the bottom, and I just feel like super awake, but also paranoid and scared, right? It was a horrible feeling. I don't know if I'll ever replicate it with anything. I hope not. The best way I can describe it is like if someone pulled you out of bed, right, by like your collar. Let's say you slept with a shirt on, right? They dragged you to an ice cold shower, threw you in, and then tased you, right? Like that's how I was feeling. So I just lay flat on my back, which is always my go-to when I'm feeling like I overdid something. I just lay flat on my back and close my eyes, and I'm like, okay. While my eyes are closed, I'm not seeing any patterns, so this is definitely not acid. I'm feeling just more energetic by the second. I can feel my heart beating like crazy, and I'm like, okay. I was convinced I was gonna die for a second, and then I, eventually got back to my own mind, and I was like, okay, just stop being a bitch, just breathe your way through this, you'll be okay, right? And then I started getting all twitchy, which used to happen when I smoked, so I wasn't too scared of it, but I didn't like it either. I was laying flat on my back going like this, going like, I kept twitching and shit, and like my legs, my hips, like everything just kept shaking. It was freaking me out. Then I thought I was gonna have a seizure. I was like, dude, what is going on here? And I laid there, and then eventually I fell asleep, right? And when I woke up, it was the most disgusting feeling I have felt in, I want to say almost my whole life, but almost freezing to death felt worse than this. But it felt like I woke up soaking wet, but so hot, like I had sweated so much that my body was like cold, but the rest of me was just hot, right? And I went and took a cold shower, felt weird for like 5 more hours that day, and then finally felt kind of normal, right? But like I don't know what the hell was in that, like what drug that could have possibly been, because there was no part of it that felt good. Second, it hit like the same time as like acid would, but it was all negative. So at first I thought maybe it was like some weird acid I never took before and I just had a bad trip, but that wouldn't even make sense because I saw zero colors. You know what I mean? Like I saw the normal colors, but nothing was popping out to me. There was no like hexagonal spheres. You know what I'm talking about? The little there's a word for it, but you know what I'm talking about, like the little things that you see on the walls, and like there were no patterns, there was nothing. There was just me feeling like cold electrical. Then I was all blurry and I was just feeling so weird, dude. But I vowed on that day, I was like, okay, real or fake, I'm done with LSD, I'm done with acid, because this is too much. Like, and taking 5 of them definitely was not good. If I took like 2 of them, I probably wouldn't have even felt any of that, right? But what could have been in it? Because it couldn't have just been nothing. It wasn't a placebo effect, because I was actively like freaking out many times. So I don't know what it could have been. If you guys have any idea, please comment, because I don't know what it could have been. I didn't even try Googling it. That's part of it. I could Google the symptoms I have and like try to figure it out, but I don't really want to know, to be honest, unless someone's like, oh, it's this for sure. But yeah, don't take acid. Nothing good ever comes out of it. I mean, I did have a lot of like entertaining times, but my mind still isn't the same from that. And something from the acid made it so like it's a lot harder. Ever since I took acid when I was like 16, 15, right? Ever since then, it's been harder for me to eat. Like when I want to eat food, I get nauseous before I eat it. That used to never happen. But the moment I took acid, it started happening. So I'm just saying, be careful, you know? And thank you for watching. Please sub and share. If you ever need anything, my Instagram's and my YouTube, you can hit me up, DM me. I'll always answer. I got you. But thanks for watching. Please be safe. And hey, have a good Friday tomorrow. Thank you for watching. And yeah, peace out.